Hey folks, Real Honesty with Jarmithlin. I'm Jarmithlin, and 10 years ago today, the wrestling landscape changed forever, essentially. Because police entered the home of Chris Benoit, his wife Nancy, their son Daniel, and it was discovered that they were all dead. Initially, people thought home invasion, people thought possible carbon monoxide poisoning, other stuff. Then, due to, medical examining and other stuff, it was determined that Chris himself had killed his family. And here's why I'm doing this show, essentially. I did a show a couple years ago about reflecting on his career versus his life. The guy had a hell of an in-ring career. He had a massively impressive in-ring career. The guy was great in the ring, whether it was Japan, ECW, WCW, WWE. The guy was intense in the ring. The guy was focused. The guy was bound and determined to be one of the best. And yes, based solely on his career and how he performed in the ring, top 20 easily. He had some great classic matches. Plenty that could be talked about for numerous minutes, hours possibly, if you really wanted to delve deep into his career. You can't take away the in-ring contributions that he did. Can't do it at all. You can not like what he did, what it was determined that he did. And I'm not going to throw out these wild, conspiracy theories, by the way. I believe that he did it. I do not believe he's innocent. I don't believe that Kevin Sullivan did it. I don't believe, and by the way, here's why I'm going up to 11 all of a sudden with the energy. I do not believe for a second that anybody but Benoit did it. His wife, even 4 years prior, had filed for filed for divorce and gotten a restraining order against him. Like that. Chris was prone to fits of rage, which adds up to the fact that he had abused steroids. I mean, and not that Benoit was the only wrestler to abuse steroids. I'm not here to say that. But people don't want to make excuses for it. Oh, he had a brain like a dementia patient at 85 years old. Okay. No one's excusing the fact that a lot of the stuff he did to himself and it had done to him in the ring, diving headbutt, I'm not saying the crippler cross, but diving headbutt, all chair shots to the head. The way, especially like diving headbutts off of cages and off of ladders and stuff like that. German suplexes laying on his head and a whole bunch of stuff. There's no doubt that stuff's going to add up. And it's going to lead to brain trauma. There's a whole major amount of aspects that a lot of people have glossed over and a lot that people have delved a little too much into. Basically, he snapped. That's essentially what it is. He snapped. Whether he felt that he should kill himself, but his wife and child couldn't live without him, or whatever the reason was, the bottom line is for all his great career accolades, and he had a ton of career accolades. Former world champion, multi-time IC, he was a multi-time U.S. champion, multi-time TV champion, tag team champion. He had great intense feuds. Chris Jericho, Triple H, some good matches with Shawn Michaels. He has some great. His best feud, I think, might actually have been against Kurt Angle and Booker T in WCW. Not Kurt Angle in WWE, obviously. But there's no doubt that losing his best friend Eddie Guerrero led to him having major issues, more so than he already did. And that affected a lot of people, affected a lot of fans. Of course it would affect the people that worked with him, that traveled up and down the road with him. Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn. But Dean Malenko, Benoit, and Eddie Guerrero were known as basically as the Three Amigos in Japan, if I remember right. Or they call themselves Three Amigos. Because they'd grown up in the business. Even though they started at different periods, they all grew and got success and were in companies with each other a lot of years. It's sad that Dean Malenko is the only one left. It's sad that Eddie Guerrero's death may have led to, Benoit just fully snapping and fully going off the rails. Who's to say that wouldn't have happened anyway? It's sad that it took Eddie Guerrero's death for them to institute a, wellness policy. for drug violations and do better testing and stuff. It's really sad that it took Benoit's death and his brain being examined for people to realize, hey, maybe all these shots to the head and all this stuff is not a good thing. Shots to the head and the diving headbutt and a lot of not taking care of yourself and going 300 miles an hour in the ring day after day after day after day, month after month after month, year after year. Maybe if you don't take care of yourself and don't pace yourself, that kind of stuff's going to happen. The brain's sort of important. I've had a few concussions. I know how it is. There are days I cannot remember anything. There are days, honest to God, I will wake up. Fortunately, I always set my alarm. I set it days in advance. Days I'll wake up and I'll think that it's another day that I gotta get to work. And it'll be like 5 o'clock. And it's a day I either have off or I don't have to work till the next day. Or, later in the day, I mean. Concussions are a tricky thing. Who knows how many concussions Chris Benoit had? Who knows how many concussions Eddie Guerrero had? I mean, Eddie Guerrero died of heart failure, and yes, that was because of abusing steroids. I'm not going to dodge that. But Eddie Guerrero's death, both deaths affected me, and that's really what it comes down to. Both deaths affected me big time. Eddie's affected me more because Eddie didn't take anybody with him. He didn't, Benoit killed his wife one day, drugged her and then strangled her. For whatever reason. Maybe because maybe he was truly evil, who knows. Maybe it was a brain trauma. And then he drugs his son Daniel. And just does that and then hangs himself. But puts a towel around his neck so it doesn't leave a mark. Now, I don't choose to believe that it was a hit or it was just kind of stuff or whatever. I don't believe it. I don't believe that Benoit got home and found his family that way and snapped. And snapped and killed himself. It is a downright terrible thing that his family was taken along with him, and this is not excusing it. This is where the next part of the subject's going to come. Everybody says, oh, well, they bring up the Scott Hall example. That Scott Hall was, a bouncer at a bar, I believe, and a gun went off, in a struggle he had with a guy, and the guy's head got blown off. And Scott was never, he basically got off scot-free, but it haunted him. And that was something that people point to, and I'm like, look, I'm not excusing what he did. That was an accident. That was not intentional. It was something that happened and a gun went off. It was not planned, or somebody was not killed one day, another killed the next day, and then they killed themselves. It was not pre-planned like that. And yeah, brain trauma, excusing, all that. The bottom line is, he killed his family, and then he killed himself. This leads to the next part. The Hall of Fame. People argue that Benoit should be in the Hall of Fame. Bullshit. Now, I'm not excusing him. I'm not saying the suicide's way out, because it's not. If he had just ended up killing himself, if he had, and even if his brain had been revealed to be dementia and all that and whatever, he would be in the Hall of Fame now. It's sad to say, but he would be in the Hall of Fame. The fact that he did what he did, it erases any goodwill he did in the ring. It negates it, at least. It doesn't erase it, but it negates any goodwill he did. He's a murderer. Went to hell for it. Whether you believe in heaven and hell or not, he went to a dark place that he deserved to go to for taking out his wife and his child. Now, that being said, do I understand the argument of him going in the Hall of Fame? No, I don't. Because he doesn't deserve it. Yes, he did years and years and years in the business. Some great years. And he was damn good. And you could watch his matches and still appreciate it. It is hard for me to watch his matches. The reason it's hard for me to watch his matches, and I'm just going to say it, because I keep thinking, if I see a chair shot, is that what started it? If I see a diving headbutt, is that what started it? Oh, he gets hit in the head with something else. Is that what started it? Is that what started the ball rolling? I still love wrestling. I'm a huge fan of it. I respect what Chris Benoit did in the ring, and I will always respect what he did in the ring, because he was a professional and did a lot of great things. Had a lot of great matches. It's like in feuds and stuff I just covered before. And was a guy that, yes, if you wanted to watch how somebody was a professional wrestler, yes, watch him. I mean, don't follow his example, because that'd be bad. But if you train like he did without taking steroids, if you use the template of being intense like he is, just don't not take care of yourself like he did. Just make sure you take care of yourself unlike what he did. And is it all on him? The head injuries and all that? No. It's on WWE, because he took a lot there. He took a lot in WCW. He didn't take that many chair shots in ECW. But he did do some intense stuff there, but he wasn't there that long. Japan, maybe. A lot of his steroid abuse. A lot of his brain trauma. Chair shots and all that. You can just see it in his matches. I mean, it's not even like anything, having to be in the know or having to be in the business. You could just tell. And people did, it was eerie interviews, like, from Mr. Anderson to Chavo to Jericho to Austin to Hardcore Holly, to various people. And his dad. I feel bad for his parents. His dad in particular. I'm not sure if his mom's still alive or not. I feel bad for his parents, though. For his dad. I feel bad for that. No one should have to watch their son go through that. No one should have to live with the guilt, maybe wondering if there was something they could have done. And there was nothing the parents could have done. Eventually, with a child, you have to let them live their life. You can always love them and always care for them and always be there for them. But eventually, they have to take the lessons that they learn from you and go up. And just succeed or fail. It's really just common. It's just common thread. You have to get to where you don't rely on your parents and get to where you can succeed. And Benoit did. Benoit achieved some unbelievable heights. Unbelievable heights in wrestling. And provided a lot of intense, great moments, hard-hitting matches. Some great fun. Some of his matches were a lot of fun. It was like watching a clinic. Wrestling Clink, especially him and Angle. And him and a few others. He knew how to be a damn good wrestler. But again, it's like, and this is kind of going on a pendulum back and forth. I can't excuse what he did. No one can excuse what he did. If you think you can excuse what he did and say he should be in the Hall of Fame even though he murdered his wife and child, you're lying to yourself. It's your opinion. You can have that all you want, but he will never be in the Hall of Fame. Unless after, this video is posted and years from now or whatever, if it is revealed that somebody came forward and it turned out to actually be somebody had set up or somebody had killed Nancy and killed Daniel and Chris had come home and somebody hit him over the head or something and hung him and set it up to look like that. If it was a hit, if it was revealed that Chris Benoit did not do anything, then fine, I'll make a video and retract all this. But it's been 10 years. Nothing has come up. He did it. The police determined that he did it. WWE has every right to distance himself from him. Do I hope his older son, David, gets a chance in the business? Yes. I believe he's wrestling. I don't know where he's wrestling exactly. If he gets a chance in WWE, I am all for it. The sins of the father should not be passed on to the son. Hopefully, David Benoit gets a chance. Do I think that he'll ever be a world champion like his dad? No. But should he get a chance? Absolutely. But that being said, Chris Benoit does not belong in the Hall of Fame because he's a murderer. End of fucking story. R.I.P. to Nancy. R.I.P. to Daniel. It's really all I gotta say. So leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Let's be civil here. Okay? Yeah, I said a lot of, things. I said a lot of things that, I'm sure people have said way worse things about Benoit. There wasn't Twitter around at the time. Otherwise, I may have been tweeting about this. But Twitter didn't start till 2008 and he died in 2007. My Twitter handle is in the description. If you would like to talk, I'm all for it. And I want to just say this much in closing. And I'm sorry, by the way, for coughing a bit, dealing with some allergies. Benoit may have tried to reach out to people. People may have brushed it off, or Benoit may have not felt that he had any way to reach out to people, and he felt this was the only way out. Okay, not excusing it, just saying. You guys feel that you have no one left to talk to, that suicide or taking somebody out or whatever is the only way to do it. Don't do it. If I know you, talk to me. Even if I know you just on social media, you DM me, you talk to me. If you need, you can text me. I will give you my number if I feel I can trust you. But at the very least, I will talk to you on Twitter. I will talk to you in DM on Twitter. I will talk to you on the comments here. Don't do it. Do not feel like you have to do something this drastic. Never feel like it's the only way out. Okay? Suicide's not the answer. Murder's not the answer. It's not the answer. Do what you can to make sure that you live your life and you don't live your life with guilt, because should you take somebody out but not take yourself out, the guilt will eat at you. The guilt will eat at you forever. Even if you take yourself out, even if you commit suicide, everybody that did love you gets left behind. Even if it's just a few people that you think. Even if you think no one loves you, a lot of people do. You may just not want to hear it, or you may not be able to hear it. Maybe that you don't want to hear it. Maybe that you just can't hear it. So guys, in closing, that's all I got to say. So, got a little heavy at the end. Follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle's in the description. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Ben Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.